All right, folks, I've kept you waiting long enough. Let's go ahead and get down to business. It's Taco Tuesday here on PrizePicks. If you're not playing on PrizePicks yet, now's a great time to do so. 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit, all the way up to $100. So if you want to put in 20, 50, 100, they're doubling up your first deposit, making your first entry on PrizePicks totally risk-free. Go ahead and check it out. Use promo code Curry. You see it floating above my head here, or there's a link down in the description below. What's up to everybody in the chat this morning? It's good to see a great turnout yesterday. Listen, folks, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I was a little scared that we weren't gonna hit our 100 like goal that we typically hit on every single one of these streams for the past month or so. I got a little worried. I got a little scared. So I need the support from the live chat, the live stream. Those of you who are joining me right now, I need your support by hitting that like button. Let's not leave it up to the hashtag replay gang. By the way, shout out to the replay gang because you guys were responsible for getting us over that 100 like hump. But let's make their jobs easier if we can. And I think we can. There's usually about 100 plus of you who watch these live streams every morning. Let's help the hashtag replay gang out and drop a like on this stream if you haven't just yet. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about up in the chat. King Chris is in here. Good morning to you. Let's get into this prop research. I definitely agree. We got a little bit of a bigger slate, I think, today than we did yesterday. Plenty to talk about, plenty of different games and names to discuss. Leroy says, let's go. Low Baller says he made some scratch last night thanks to CJ and the Patreon crew. Let's do it again. Yeah, listen, I go a little bit further than I do here. I usually post a few picks that look interesting to me. Do they always hit? Heck no, they don't always hit. They don't always hit. It's been a struggle here lately. I'm going to just sit right here in this chair and keep it transparent and 100% honest with you. I don't have all the answers, point blank, period. And I never claimed to have all the answers. But what you do get when you join Patreon is a community of other people who are enthusiasts, who enjoy doing player prop research, who are in the game, with me. I don't do this alone. I can't win alone. We win together. And that's where the power of the community comes in. So I'm glad to hear that Lowballer made some money last night, thanks to being a part of what we're doing in the Patreon community. If you want to join, there's a link down in the description below. It's nothing serious, nothing major. We're just in there talking player props every day. We don't have the Da Vinci Code or anything. No secrets or anything like that to winning. We're trying though. Every day we're trying. We're putting the effort in, the research in, and hopefully we land on more wins than we do losses. King Chris says, hit that like button on your way in. Great advice there. I like the way you think, Mr. Chris. Tony, what's up? Good morning, CJ. We went green yesterday. Tony, another member of our Patreon community. I ended up taking Kevin Porter Jr. under points. I also took Hassan Whiteside under rebounds. That one did not work out. Hassan Whiteside decided to have a flashback game, a throwback game where he had just a double-double monster game against the Detroit Pistons. But the other prop that ended up working out, what was it? Doggone, I can't. Oh, Jared Allen over rebounds. Jared Allen absolutely demolished, crushed his rebound prop. I think he hit the over on 10 rebounds in the first half against the Sacramento Kings. So wasn't quite sure why he was at just 10 rebounds. I saw him at 10.5 on some sites, 9.5 on other sites. I was like, listen, this is a good matchup here. Jared Allen, he's going to get it done, and he absolutely came through. So we hit on Jared Allen over rebounds, Kevin Porter Jr. under on points, and we missed on Hassan Whiteside's under on his rebounds. But overall, I'm glad to hear that some folks won some money. Reynard says, yes, sir, had to get on the live chat. We hit a little something last night. Let's hit again. This is great research you're doing, man. Keep it up. It helps me every day. I appreciate you leaving those kind words, my friend. I try to get on here. I try to be helpful. I try to bring people together around sports, prop betting, whatever you want to call it, prize picks, make it a community effort and help put a few extra bucks in some folks' pockets. So, I'm going to continue to do that with all my content, with everything that I do, whether it be here on YouTube, whether it be in the Discord, Patreon. I want to continue to do that for everyone. Andrew, what's good with you? He hit on 15 player props yesterday. Oh, okay. See what you're saying, man. That's a lot of hits. Michael says, let's get these tacos. Yes, it's Taco Tuesday. Be interested to see who the tacos are. If you're not familiar with Taco Tuesday, PrizePicks usually has about, what would you say, like 3, maybe 4 different player props throughout the day that they discount by like 15, 20%. And typically it makes it a little bit easier, almost not, I wouldn't call it a free square, almost like a free square though. Last night was the free square with Bryce Young and that 0.5 passing yard prop. Hopefully you guys took advantage of that. I know I definitely did. Michael says he would have won $100 if Kyrie had just gotten one more bucket. Did you play him over 23.5 points? Because I think he hit that 19.5, but as soon as James Harden came out, the news came out about James Harden being out of the lineup. I know that Kyrie's point prop line ended up kind of skyrocketing. Wesley, what's happening to you? Longtime member of the YouTube channel, the Discord community, Patreon, man. You've been supporting since day one, so I appreciate that. Let's go, says, I am trash at Roblox. Yeah, screw Hassan Whiteside, huh, Tony? Darn shame. Anyone in chat got any picks for today for NBA? Well, we're going to be talking about plenty of picks here, Andrew. You just hold your horses there, my friend. Just got to hold your horses. Jodinho says, yo, CJ, it's brick out here. I don't know what that means. It's brick out here? I don't know. Man, I'm old. Well, I'm 36, but I don't know what that means. It's brick out here. David says, good morning. Smash the like button, guys. Yes, appreciate that, David, for the reminder for the rest of the people who haven't liked yet. I love it. Michael says, 2 rough days, time to bounce back. Yes, we're going to bounce back today, hopefully. Every day is a new opportunity to win a few extra dollars, so let's go ahead and try and do that. Zamir, good to see you. Keaton, good morning. Andrew, like I said, man, hold your horses. We'll get to some picks. Don't you worry. That's what we do here. Kevin, hit the like button when you get here. Love it. Keith, what's happening? What else are you folks talking about here? Who have I missed? Corey, good to see you. The guy who hitchhikes on a hot streak won $340 the past 2 days. Love to hear it. Kuniri Weems. Love to see it, man. Contract Killer, good morning to you. Justin, what's happening? Going just through the rest of these comments here. Corey, SW843, good morning to you. Yatil, help me out. My boy been in a drought. Well, I know we definitely had some winning picks yesterday. Somebody in the Discord community had taken some notes. I believe that was King Chris, and he did pretty well. He had like a 75% hit rate or something like that on some of the notes he took from yesterday's stream. I think Joel Embiid over points ended up working out. Bobby Portis over on rebounds. Who were some of the other ones? I don't remember, but he had some good notes from yesterday's show and ended up working out. Denzel, what's happening? JW is in the building. Juan, good to see you. George, what's happening? Martin, oh, brick means it's cold. There you go. See, they don't talk like that down here in Florida. I don't know where you're from, but I've never heard that term here down in Florida. Chris, you agree. You say, who the F says brick when they say it's cold? Never heard of that, man. Yeah, people up north. Okay, it's got to be an up north thing. I'm down here in Tampa Bay my whole life. Never heard that. Let's hit today. Yes, love it. Mr. Weems. Yeah, sorry about that, man. You know how I am with these names. All right, Florida stand up. That's right, Contract Killer 56. Tampa Bay in the building. Y'all, I got blessed yesterday, man. You know, I put a tweet out there. I was looking for some Philadelphia Eagles because I'm an Eagles fan. Tampa Bay Buccaneers tickets, and my friends at PrizePicks, man, they really came through. They blessed your boy with a couple of tickets to the game. So if you're looking for me Sunday at 1 p.m., I'll be in Raymond James Stadium watching Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if anybody from PrizePicks is out there, I just want to say thank you so much for the blessings. I'm proud to partner with you guys. I'm proud to be affiliated with you guys, and just beyond humbled, beyond blessed. But anyway, enough of that. We'll talk some NFL at some point, not in this show, but maybe in a future stream. Today we're talking NBA. We got a medium-sized slate, so let's go ahead and get down to business here. The Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Washington Wizards at 7 p.m. 216.5 point total. 8.5 point spread here in favor of the home team, the Washington Wizards. Looking at both teams here, Roby and Williams are already ruled out. The other side of this game for the Wizards, Winston, Todd, Gill, Waters, and Bryant already ruled out as well. So nothing real impactful here. Both of these teams look to be at about 100%, about full strength here from the looks of things. Not seeing anything too impactful. 7:30 p.m. Phoenix at Toronto. We got a 223 point total, 4 point spread. We got Saric, Kaminsky, Nader, and Johnson. Cam Johnson being the biggest one. Of course, doesn't matter as much with Jay Crowder back in the lineup now. DeAndre Ayton back in the lineup now. Cam Johnson has returned back to the bench, so we're not too worried about that one. Toronto, though, we got to keep an eye on Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent Jr., both guys game time decisions. But overall, liking the total on this game at 223, liking the spread at just 4 points. It looks like it's going to be one that stays close and competitive. 8 p.m. also brings us the Minnesota Timberwolves at the New Orleans Pelicans. This game also has a strong total of 226.5 points. Love to see that. 3 point spread. Love to see that as well. So if you're looking to take some overs, this might be a good game to target. Pat Beverly, game time decision. We got Wright and Balmaro already ruled out. Over on the New Orleans side, Williamson and Lewis Jr. already ruled out as well. So both of these teams pretty much running with their full strength here. If Pat Beverly's in, it'll be Beverly, Russell, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns. So that's been pretty much their starting five all season. Now, 8 p.m. also brings us the Golden State Warriors at the Memphis Grizzlies. Another fun game, another good total of 220 points with just a 2 point spread. This game looks like it's going to be one that stays close and stays competitive. We've got Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton II, game time decisions. No James Wiseman, no Draymond Green. Obviously, Draymond Green is the biggest injury news piece here. On the other side, we've got my man Pons de Riva, Pons de Bank. He's a game time decision. Steven Adams, also a game time decision. No Dillon Brooks for the Memphis Grizzlies, so it'll be Ja Morant, Desmond Bane manning the backcourt for Memphis. Going down to the 10:30 p.m. game, we've got the Denver Nuggets at the Los Angeles Clippers, 213 points here, 3.5 point spread. Pretty much the same list of names here for the Denver Nuggets: Dozier, Murray, Porter, Howard, Kankar. But one that's kind of a newer injury piece is Will Barton. He is not going to be playing tonight. So no Trill Will Barton for the Denver Nuggets. Los Angeles Clippers side of things, no Preston, Leonard, George, Hartenstein, Kennard, or Winslow for the Los Angeles Clippers. So they continue to have a lot of key guys, impactful names sit out for them. 213 point total, not the highest total in the world, but not bad, not terrible either. 3.5 point spread, meaning this game hopefully stays close and competitive. And then finally, Tuesday at 8 p.m., I don't know why these games are out of order. Tuesday at 8 p.m., Detroit Pistons at the Chicago Bulls, 221 implied point total. 13.5 point spread, which favors the Chicago Bulls here. So this one, obviously, blowout city. High potential, high risk for a blowout here, especially with Detroit coming off of a back-to-back last night. They just played Utah last night, so we'll have to see what happens. But we've got Livers. I'm going to continue to say his name both ways. He is a game-time decision. No Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk, or Frank Jackson for Detroit. If we look at the Chicago side, Pat Williams, Cook, Green, and Caruso already ruled out for this one. So if you're going to play anybody from this game, if you're going to take any overs from this game, probably want to take them in a first half only format. I'm just saying, this game looks like it's going to get out of hand with a 13.5 point spread. I see some Eagles fans up in here. Shout out to you, Newsom Jones, Eagles, Eagles. That's right. That's right. Can the Eagles shock the world? We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. Yeah, Chris is saying that nobody deserves that more than I do. Those tickets to the game. So yeah, I'm stoked. It's gonna be a fun game. Beautiful weather, 60 degrees, a little bit of cloud coverage to help with that blazing hot Florida sun. Should be a fun time at that Buccaneers Eagles game. Is Harrison Barnes said? I see you're talking about not Harrison Barnes, Scotty Barnes. Is Scotty Barnes officially ruled out, or is he a GTD, a game time decision? I'm just wondering. Yes, I am sponsored by PrizePicks. I'd like to think of myself as the face of PrizePicks. I've been making these PrizePicks videos for well over a year. I think I've put out more video content for PrizePicks than anybody else. Pick'em says, Eagles are the worst. Go Cowboys. All right. Bucks are going for Super Bowl number 2. They're kind of beat up, man. I don't know if they've got the juice to get it done. Says he's not sure about Scotty Barnes just yet, but he looks to be out. So we got to wait for some of that news. Obviously, like said, dare I say, if Scotty Barnes is out, that's going to be very impactful news. All right, folks, so we talked about some overs yesterday. We talked about some unders. I know some of the unders ended up hitting. Jason Tatum stayed under his point prop despite that game going to overtime. That was one that worked out. We talked about Kevin Porter Jr. He stayed under his point prop. So we'll definitely be looking at some point props today and looking at some overs and unders for both. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the guys that have been hitting their point props here in the last 10 games. Starting things off with Daniel Gafford at 9.5 points. Surprisingly, Daniel Gafford has been covering 9.5 points with a pretty high hit rate. The last 10 games have been good to him. An 80% hit rate in that span. So 8 out of 10 games, he has gone over 9.5 points. We look at the last 5 games here. 80% hit rate going over in his last 5 games as well. He's averaging 13 points per game. Now, surprisingly, the only game that he didn't go over was against Houston, which is a shocker because Houston's not a very good team. So I don't know what happened there. Now, I will say this about Daniel Gafford. We got to pay attention to Montrezl Harrell and see, is he in or out? I believe he's back in the lineup. He was dealing with some conditioning issues after sitting out due to COVID protocols. He was getting real close to entering in the lineup again, the rotation again. If Montrezl Harrell is in, I don't know. I might get a little bit worried about Daniel Gafford hitting his point prop. So we got to pay attention to that. But nonetheless, 80% hit rate in the last 10, 80% hit rate in the last 5. He has been covering 9.5 points. So let's go take a look here at the matchups for Daniel Gafford. He's facing off against Oklahoma City. I think we know for the most part OKC has not been a very good team defensively, especially against guards and stuff like that. But if we look at how many points per game that they allow for the season against opposing centers, about 20 points per game. Now let's just fast forward and look at the last 7 and see how much that has changed. OKC now giving up close to 24 points per game. So if you look at where they were for the season at about 20 points, where they are now giving up about 3 to 4 more points per game, I would say that this is a pretty decent matchup here for Daniel Gafford, especially considering that he only needs 10 points. That's not a whole lot of points. So let's go ahead and take a look at the projections here for Gafford. We're going to be using the Action Labs projection tools, part of Fantasy Labs. Let's go ahead and pull them up right now. So I've got Daniel Gafford projected for 12.5 points, which is a very solid projection, a very good edge or differential between where he's at on PrizePicks. He's at 9.5 on PrizePicks, 12.5 projected points. So that's a 3-point difference for you folks who don't have your calculators out. All right, we got him on 4 different sports books, and all 4 right now we're seeing some juice, some action on the over at 9.5 points. So he's been getting it done. I do have some concerns that Montrezl Harrell, if he is in, might cut into a little bit of his playing time. But I think, on the surface level here, kind of this preliminary research, first look that we're doing together right now, I think Gafford makes for a decent play. Another guy we got to talk about is his teammate, Bradley Beal, who's been scoring the basketball a lot better lately, a lot better. Now, of course, Spencer Dinwiddie's back in the lineup for Washington. Maybe he impacts Beal a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. We don't have a whole lot of games with Bradley Beal and Dinwiddie since Dinwiddie has made his return to the lineup. But I can tell you this, over the last 10 games at 24.5 points, 80% hit rate for Beal. We look at the last 5, also rocking that 80% hit rate. He's also averaging 27 points per game, folks, which is a whole lot more than 24.5. Now, he is coming off of a bad game here, a down game versus Orlando. So you know me. When a prop is coming off of a flop, I got to go back. So this might be a go back spot, a get right spot here for Bradley Beal. Let's just go take a look at the matchups here and see how the Oklahoma City Thunder have been doing against opposing shooting guards. We don't have to go down too far. They're actually one of the top 10 most giving in the points category to opposing shooting guards, giving up about 23.5 points per game. So I would say this is a pretty good matchup here. Now, just for ish and giggles, we'll call it, let's look at the point guard spot and see how OKC does against the point guard spot. Because as we've talked about in recent videos, a lot of these positions, these are positionless players, we should say. Like Bradley Beal, we know he gets a lot of points, and he's kind of a shooting guard, but he also functions as a point guard. He handles the ball a lot. He gets a lot of assists too. Nonetheless, OKC giving up about 20 points per game to the point guard position. So I would call Beal more of a shooting guard, and shooting guards having a much easier time against Oklahoma City over the last 7 games. So let's go take a look at a projection for Beal. We talked about Gafford, his teammate. Now we're talking about Beal here, and both guys are projected to go over their prop line today. Now, Beal's at 24.5. I got him at 26.7 according to the Action Lab projection tool, putting him over by about 2.2 points. Now, a little bit different situation here. Gafford, he was a favorite to go over on all 4 books. Beal, on the other hand, is a favorite to go under on 4 different books, minus 125 odds in some places. So, kind of interesting there. Projected to go over, high hit rates for Bradley Beal. We know Spencer Dinwiddie's back in the lineup. Maybe that shakes things up for Beal a little bit, but he is coming off of a bad game here. A 20-point game against Orlando is a bad game for Bradley Beal when you go back and look at his last 5 and last 10 games. So maybe he pops back up here and gets it done versus Oklahoma City in what looks like a pretty good matchup. Trez is back for the Wizards and might take away from Gafford. So I was afraid of that. I knew Montrezl Harrell was kind of getting close to coming back. I wasn't sure if he had played in the last game or not, but I definitely wanted to point that out. Because, Montrezl Harrell, when healthy, he will get some minutes. He will get some run, and I think that could be potentially impactful to someone like Daniel Gafford. All right, so we've talked about 2 Washington Wizards. Are we going to talk about some Golden State Warriors? Look, this guy's had a very nice run this season. Been playing very good basketball. But we have to mention Klay Thompson's back. We saw Klay Thompson not afraid to shoot in his first game back after a long layoff. How will that impact Andrew Wiggins going forward? Well, I can tell you this, the last game, which was against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Wiggins had just 10 points. So I don't know if that was a product of Wiggins having a bad game or a little bit of Klay Thompson impact, being back in the lineup and shooting a whole bunch. It might be time to start looking at some unders on Andrew Wiggins. That's all I want to point out. Now, at 16.5 points over his last 10 games, most of those without Klay Thompson, 80% hit rate. Last 5 games, again, 4 out of these 5 games were without Klay Thompson. So Klay's back. How will that impact things going forward? I don't know. I'm still kind of taking a wait and see approach on these guys, these Golden State Warriors guys. I want to see how Klay reintegrates back into the Golden State Warriors starting lineup. We know Draymond Green is out. I don't know if that opens things up a whole lot for Andrew Wiggins. But I have a feeling that Wiggins is going to regress a little bit as Klay Thompson gets his legs back and, he's getting more minutes. So maybe we could get in early on Andrew Wiggins. Maybe he ends up being at like 14.5 or 15.5 in a week from now. Just saying, we could be ahead of the curve here and start taking some unders on Andrew Wiggins if we think Klay Thompson's going to cut in to Wiggins' productivity. So heading on over here, looking at this matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies in the last 7 games against opposing small forwards. Go all the way down to the bottom here. They rank number 2. Now, what that means is they're giving up the second fewest points per game to opposing small forwards. The only team giving up fewer points over the last 7 games to small forwards is the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is the team that Andrew Wiggins played in his last game, where he had just 10 points. So he's facing a team that is almost as equally of a tough matchup as the Cleveland Cavaliers were in the last game. And we got the Klay Thompson factor. So I'm just saying, you guys are always looking for unders, right? Or I hear some people clamoring, what about the unders? You never talk about the unders. This could be an option. I'm just saying it could be an option worth considering. Second hardest team against points for small forwards. Okay, we saw how he did against the team that's the first allowing the first fewest points per game to opposing small forwards. He had just 10 points against the Cavs. So this could be an option. Could be an option worth considering for an under. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection here. I got him going for 19.9 points. That seems like a lot. I'm not saying he can't do it. We've seen 21, 22, and 25 point upside in his last 5 games. But again, that was without the other splash bro, Klay Thompson. So, I don't know, 19.9 kind of seems a little bit high, especially going against a Memphis team that's pretty much fully healthy other than Dillon Brooks. Just seems a little bit too high, 19.9 points. Anyway, at 16.5 points, 3 different books have him going over. At 17.5 points, they have him going under. So, between 16.5 and 17.5 is 17 points. He's going to be right in that range from the looks of things, according to these lines makers. Do you think he duds again? In other words, do you think he goes under 16.5 points for the second straight game with Klay Thompson back in the mix? I don't know. It's worth considering. The matchup looks really tough here against a stingy Memphis Grizzlies team. All right. Speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, let's go ahead and talk about Desmond Bane, because at 17.5 points without Dillon Brooks around, it's kind of looking nice here. Desmond Bane at 17.5 points is looking kind of nice here. He's got back-to-back games of 23 points. We go back a couple games, 29 points against Brooklyn. Overall, last 5 games, 60% hit rate, which is a little bit down versus where he's at for the last 10 games. Last 10 games, he was sitting at a 70% hit rate at covering 17.5 points. But this number seems kind of low here for Desmond Bane. We know he could fill it up. If the game stays close, competitive, Desmond Bane, knocks down 2, 3, 4 threes. He's like right there, ready to hit the over on this point prop. So he's averaging 20.6 points per game over the last 5 games. Let's go look at this matchup here against Golden State. We know that it can be a difficult team, a tough task. Let's go see how many points per game they're giving up to opposing shooting guards over the last 7 games. You can kind of see them right in the middle there. Middle of the pack, average type of defense against opposing shooting guards. Now, does that get better with Klay Thompson? Defensively, we know Klay Thompson, when he's healthy, if he's healthy, if he's 100% all the way back, Klay Thompson's one of the best two-way players in the league, in my opinion. So maybe they think he puts the clamps on young Desmond Bane here tonight. Let's go take a look at the projections for Desmond Bane going up against Golden State. He is projected for 16.8 points. 16.8. Now, four different books. We're seeing a lot of mixed signals here. We're seeing money coming in a lot of different ways. Under on this site, over on the next, even money here, even money there. So not really getting a clear picture of where the betting public are putting down their cold hard cash just yet. But Desmond Bane, if he gets some shots up, gets them to go down, I think he could fill it up really quick here. He's got 20 to 30 point upside on any given night. But the Golden State Warriors, looking like it could be kind of a difficult matchup, but I think he makes for an interesting play. All right, any other guys worth considering? Look, we can't talk point props without talking about Fred VanVleet. This guy's been one of the hottest scorers in the league over the last 5 to 10 games. At 23.5 points, 70% of the time he has covered this prop, going for 24 or more points. But Phoenix is a tough team. They're one of the toughest defensive teams. They're back to 100%. They've got the Mikhail jail going. They got Jay Crowder back out there. Devin Booker's in the lineup. DeAndre Ayton's back, manning the middle. And of course, CP3 is at the point guard spot. So it could be a tough time here for Fred VanVleet. We're going to take a look at it a little bit closer, but just wanted to mention him because, again, 70% of the time in the last 10 games, he's covered 23.5 points, 80% in the last 5, 31.2 points per game for Fred VanVleet. We like the totals and the spread from this game. Good, healthy totals, competitive, close spread. Doesn't look like it's going to be a blowout, but weird things happen sometimes in the NBA, folks. Weird things happen. Let's look at this matchup here. VanVleet pretty much functions as the point guard here for Toronto. Now we got to wait and see because we had Gary Trent Jr. We also had Scotty Barnes as game time decisions for the Raptors. That would be very impactful. Very impactful. Now, Fred VanVleet, point guard, going up against Phoenix. Phoenix is allowing the first most points per game to opposing point guards over the last 7 games. 28.5 points allowed. So Chris Paul, he's not clamping anybody up lately. 28.5 points allowed. Fred VanVleet has been absolutely hot, scoring over 31 points per game in the last 5. So this looks like a great matchup here on paper. Now let's just hit the rewind button. We're looking at the last 7 games. Let's look at the last 15 and see how Phoenix has done. They're still giving up the second most points per game in the last 15. And if we want an even larger sample size, we can go back and look at the last 30 games. Phoenix still ranking in the top 5 points allowed to the point guard position. So this is not anything new. They've been giving up a lot of points to opposing point guards all season long, okay? That number has actually climbed if we look at the last 7 games, 28.5. So kind of give you an idea how Phoenix is trending. They're actually trending in a favorable direction if you're looking to take the over for Fred VanVleet, giving up more points now than ever. I got VanVleet projected for 21.7 points. 21.7 points, but we got him on at 2 different prop lines on a number of different sports books here. Now, PrizePicks has him at the higher number, 23.5, but we're also seeing him at 22.5 on some sites. At 23.5, the betting public taking the under. They're shorting Fred VanVleet at 23.5, but at 22.5, it seems like he's a betting favorite to go over. So I don't know, guys. The matchup seems very favorable here. Chris Paul and whoever else is defending the point guards that Phoenix is facing, they're allowing a ton of points, nearly 30 points per game. And Fred VanVleet has been an absolute heater. So, I don't know. Could be worth going back to that prop. Could be worth it. All right. That's enough about some points props. I'm sure you guys will have more when we take your questions toward the end of the stream, the end of the show. So, let's go ahead and move it over to some rebounds. I'm going to get a little swig of water here. Appreciate everybody who's joining me this morning. If you have not liked today's show, today's stream, please go ahead and do so now while I hydrate with my H2O. Alrighty, we're ready to go. Let's talk about some rebounds. Who are the top rebounders on today's slate? Over the last 10 games, surprisingly, this little guy right here, Lou Dort. Lou Dort has been boarding up. Like a hurricane's coming in, all right? 3.5 rebounds. He's covered this prop in 80% of his last 10 games. That's 8 out of 10. We look at the last 5 games, 80% hit rate as well. 4 out of 5. Averaging 5 rebounds per game. He did fall short against Minnesota with just 3 boards, but he's always going to be sort of in the mix for 3 to 4 rebounds or more per game. You see, he's got 8 rebound upside, 5 rebounds against Phoenix, 5 against Denver. He's taking on Washington tonight. So let's go ahead and take a look at this matchup for Lou Dort. Tough to really put him in any single position. Not sure if he's a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. He kind of is one of those positionless players. And the same could be said about the rest of the Oklahoma City Thunder guys. You got Giddey, you got SGA. These guys kind of, I don't know, what do they have? Like a 3-guard rotation, a 3-guard starting lineup or something? Or are they 3 forwards? I don't know. All right. Let's just look at the last 7 games for each position. How about that? Going up against Washington. Washington giving up, to point guards. Where are they at? 6.2 rebounds per game. It puts them like right in the middle of the pack. Average matchup. Not plus, not minus matchup for point guards. If we go to the shooting guard position. Shooting guards against Washington. Washington giving up about 5.8 rebounds per game to opposing shooting guards. So again, kind of middle of the pack, but down toward the bottom for shooting guards. If we're looking at small forwards, we could look at that as well. Giving up 9 rebounds per game. Much better if you're a small forward facing the Washington Wizards and you're looking to get some rebounds. So small forwards have it best or easiest here. But it's hard to say, is it Josh Giddey who's the small forward? Is it Lou Dort? Is it SGA? They're kind of all positionless. They're all kind of interchangeable, right? So anyway, decent matchup here from the looks of things. Let's go to the rebound props. Type in Lou Dort's name. I got him projected for 4.2 boards right now. 4.2 boards. Now on 2 different sites, 2 different books, minus 140 betting favorite to cover 3.5. Minus 140 is pretty strong. Those are some pretty strong odds. So maybe Lou Dort is worth a look with his 80% hit rate in the last 10, 80% hit rate in the last 5, and the matchup doesn't look so bad either. Doesn't look so bad. Kevin. Oh man, that's devastating. 15 likes with 164 viewers. Oh man. See, that's what kind of scared me yesterday, folks. I got off of here yesterday, and we did not hit 100 likes. So I was worried. I needed the replay gang to come through, and they did. Hashtag replay gang. Shout out to you. But 164 of you and only 15 likes? Whew, boy. The type of fire that I'm putting down for you this morning, the type of information that we're spitting this morning, come on, we could do better than that, folks. We can do better, and I know we will. Chris Paul, guys, 4.5 rebounds. He's not up on the board right now, but if we get him up on the board at 4.5 boards, 80% of the time in the last 10 games, he has covered this prop. He's another one worth considering. We talked about Daniel Gafford's points. What about Daniel Gafford's rebounds at just 7.5? Are we worried about Montrezl Harrell cutting into things? We should be. It should be something that we consider for sure. All right. Daniel Gafford at 7.5 boards. Hitting this in the last 10 games at a 70% clip. Over the last 5 games, 60%. He's averaging 7.8. So not too great in terms of hit rate, but not terrible either. Let's look at this matchup here in the last 7 games. He's going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's what really stands out to me. OKC over the last 7 games, giving up 18.5 boards. That's the 4th most rebounds per game to the center position. Daniel Gafford looking like a very, very good plus rebound spot here against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's pull up a projection for you. Gafford projected for 7.9 boards today, folks. That puts him real close to 8 rebounds, which is exactly what we need, 8 or more for him to go over. 3 different sites, 3 different books, all like Daniel Gafford to go over. Minus 130, minus 135, betting favorite to cover. 7.5 boards. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Let me ask you this, chat. Are we liking Gafford's rebounds or Gafford's points more? If you had to choose between the two, Which one are you liking a little bit more? For those of you who saw the breakdown for the Gafford points and the breakdown just now for the rebounds, which one are you liking more? Which one would you lean more toward taking the over on? Even with Montrezl Harrell in, which ones are you liking more? Just an interesting question. Hey, there we go, folks. There we go. We're getting people on board here. Look, I know it's early. And not all of you remember to hit the like button. Not all of you remember to smash the like, but we're up to 53 likes now. You know, my goal is always to be at 100 likes or more. I'm always taking the over on 100 likes on this live stream. We'll call it 99.5 likes. I'm taking the over every time. I believe in you guys. I have faith that you guys are going to come through. You guys are asking, you guys are saying if you had to choose between Gafford, rebounds, or points, it's kind of torn here, kind of mixed. We're seeing a little bit of both. We're seeing some rebounds, boards. Some of you folks are saying points. Some are saying neither. Preddy is saying neither. Hillfigure, you're liking the points for Gafford. David's saying he leans under on Gafford's rebounds. Interesting. Under on the rebounds in the fourth best matchup you could ask for. Okay. Just kind of taking the temperature of the room here. Wanting to see where you guys line up on some of these props. It's good to see that feedback, though. All right. What do we think about Nikola Vucevic? He's at 11.5 boards on PrizePicks. I think I got him at 12.5 on most of your sports books out there. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, by the way, you can follow me on Twitter at Curry the Creator. At Curry the Creator on Twitter. Give me a follow if you haven't yet. There's a link down in the description below. But I saw Props.Cash put something up today this morning. They put up like a morning blog talking about a few different props that are really standing out. And one of the guys was Nikola Vucevic. And I kind of replied to that post and kind of gave a little bit more insight, a little bit more context to Nikola Vucevic and his rebounds. It's kind of weird, but you wouldn't think it. Lonzo Ball being in the lineup, Nikola Vucevic does not rebound nearly as well with Lonzo Ball in the lineup. It's true. I think it was in 5 games with Lonzo Ball out of the lineup, he's averaging like 16 rebounds per game. With Lonzo Ball in the lineup in 25 games this season, his rebounds dropped to like 10.6 or something like that. It's kind of crazy. Now, he is facing the Detroit Pistons tonight. I mentioned the Pistons because last night they allowed Hassan Whiteside to pull in 14 rebounds, 14 boards for Whiteside. I took the under on Whiteside because Detroit hadn't allowed very many bigs to pull in 13 or more rebounds versus them over the last 3 months. In fact, Detroit has only allowed 4 centers to pull in 13 or more rebounds versus them over the last 3 months. Hassan Whiteside, Steven Adams, Zubac, and there's one other guy. I don't remember who it was. But there was one other guy. Anyway, Whiteside, Zubac, Steven Adams. Anyway, they don't allow a lot of big guys, centers, to pull in that many rebounds against them. They're on a back-to-back tonight, and Vucevic, in 3 meetings against the Detroit Pistons since joining the Chicago Bulls, in 3 meetings, he's got like astronomical rebound numbers versus the Detroit Pistons. So let's take a look at this a little bit closer here. We'll go to the center position. We'll see how many boards per game Detroit's given up. And it's not like it's this great like plus matchup for Vooch. They're kind of middle of the road, giving up about 15.4 rebounds per game in the last 7 games. So it's not like a great matchup, but it's not an overly difficult matchup either. Let's pull up a projection on Vucevic. Now I've got him at 12.1 projected boards. So they like him to cover this prop against Detroit tonight. Now he's a minus 160 betting favorite on some sites right now. Minus 135 on other sites. So at 11.5 boards, coming off of a bad game against Dallas, I do expect his rebounds to go up. I don't expect him to have another game of, single-digit rebounds, at least not 6. 6 is performing pretty badly. But maybe he gets back to rebounding better against Detroit, a team that he's dominated the glass against since joining the Chicago Bulls. Like I said, he's hit the over against Detroit in every one of his 3 previous meetings. So definitely want to dig in a little bit deeper. Sean, what's happening to you, man? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. George, what's up? Zubac. Yeah, you guys are talking about some of the props up in here. Hold off on your questions on those props, and we'll definitely dig in and do some research together. All right. So we talked about Dort, Paul, Gafford, and Vucevic. Some other names to consider over the last 10 games, guys who are hitting their rebound prop at a high clip. Devin Booker, but be careful with him and Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton's back. Jay Crowder's back. They're pretty much 100%, so I expect guys like Booker and Paul to maybe see less rebounds these days. Kyle Kuzma, he's up at 9.5 boards. At 9.5, he's covered this prop in 70% of his last 10 games. Marcus Morris, 70% hit rate. Herbert Jones, 70% hit rate covering his rebound prop. So those are some other names to consider. Let's go ahead and kick it on over. We'll look at some assists together here. Now, we typically think of DeMar DeRozan as a bucket getter, not a dime dropper, but over the last 10 games at 4.5 assists, 80% hit rate in the last 10 games. It's an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 of his 8 of his last 10 games, he's gone for 5 or more assists. We look at the last 5 games here, 5.8 assists. He's covered in 80% of his last 5. He's been getting a lot of assists lately. We look at the last couple here, 8 against Washington, 8 against Dallas. And I believe that both of those games were with Lonzo Ball back. So for some reason, DeMar DeRozan is assisting more with Lonzo Ball back. Maybe he's taking a little bit more of a backseat when it comes to scoring points. And maybe he's stepping up and assisting more and letting guys like Lonzo Ball get some buckets. I don't know. Kind of interesting, though. Let's look at this matchup here. He's kind of the small forward, right? Call him a small forward. Sometimes he's a shooting guard, depending on who's in, who's out for the Chicago Bulls. Going up against Detroit tonight. Looking for the Pistons here. They're giving up, how many assists? About 3.4 per game to opposing small forwards. Just for fun, let's look at the shooting guard position. Detroit giving up about 5.2 assists per game to shooting guard. So definitely giving up more assists to the shooting guard spot than small forward. So let's go look at DeRozan. DDR, as I like to call him, to save me from having to type out his name every time. I just call him DDR. And I call Dante DiVincenzo DDV. If you didn't know, now you know. All right. At 4.5 assists, got him projected for 4.7, which is more than 4.5. Two different books, betting favorite to go over at -145 and -135 odds. Just be careful because this game will blow out from the looks of things. It will be one of the ones that is at like the top of the list for potential blowouts. Another guy that has been assisting pretty well is Karl Anthony Towns. Talked about that props.cash tweet that went out. Karl Anthony Towns was the cover boy for that tweet. And one of the props that they mentioned was his assist prop, because at 3.5 dimes, he has covered this in 80% of his last 10 games, which is pretty nice. 80%, right? At 3.5 assists, he's covering 80% of the time in his last 5 games as well, averaging 5.6 dimes. So you can kind of see here, 6, 7, has a bad game here, 3 against OKC, but comes back the next game with 5, and then he had 7 against Houston. So he gets the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Let's just go over to the matchups here, looking at the last 7 games. We'll see how the Pelicans have done in terms of assists allowed to the center position. We go down. Where are they at? We're hunting for them. Wow. They give up the second fewest assists per game to opposing centers over the last 7 games. Just 1.8 dimes dropped by opposing bigs. So this is a team, the New Orleans Pelicans, giving up the second fewest. This is a tough matchup for Karl Anthony Towns and his assist prop. So let's get you a projection here. We'll flip things over to the assist category on Action Labs. We'll type in Towns. I got him projected, despite the difficult matchup, for 4.5 dimes. On 2 different books, 2 different sites, -125 betting favorite to go over 3.5. So, been hitting pretty well. 80% in the last 10, 80% in the last 5. Good average, 5.6. Betting favorite to go over. And he's got projections backing him up at 4.5 assists, despite the fact that this is, on paper, against New Orleans, one of the toughest matchups you could ask for. All right. Worth considering, though. Another guy who's been dropping a lot of dimes, Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets. He is not up on the board right now. Not up on the board. But Aaron Gordon at 1.5 assists, if you could get him somewhere else at 1.5 assists, you might want to consider him. 70% of the time he has gone over. What do we think if Scotty Barnes is out? Who do you think that benefits the most on the Toronto Raptors? Barnes is usually good for about 4 or 5 assists, sometimes more. The only reason I asked that question is because Pascal Siakam at 4.5 assists, 70% hit rate over his last 10 games. Allergies, guys, allergies. They're kicking my butt. So Pascal Siakam might be somebody worth considering with Scotty Barnes out at 4.5 assists. He's not on PrizePicks, but maybe you could get him somewhere else. This guy right here, Josh Giddey, 6.5 dimes over the last 10 games, 60% hit rate for him. Over the last 5 games, 60% hit rate as well, 8.6 assists per game in that span. So Josh Giddey could be worth considering. Again, we don't really know how things shake out a lot of the times with the Thunder. Maybe Giddey's more like the small forward. So let's go look and see. Washington Wizards giving up 2.8 assists per game to opposing small forwards. That's the 5th fewest. Shooting guard position, Washington giving up 4.4 assists per game. That's also pretty low, like 10th fewest. Point guards, Washington giving up 6.1 assists per game. So across the board, point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they might struggle tonight in the assist category versus Washington. Looks like a tough matchup here on paper over the last 7 games. Let's pull up a projection for Giddey. 6.7 projected assists. But at 6.5 dimes, couple different books, he is a betting favorite to go under. Minus 125 on DK, minus 125 on MGM. So you guys are looking for some under options. This looks like a very difficult matchup against the Washington Wizards in the assist column, in the assist category for a guy like Josh Giddey. That could be an underplay worth talking about. Let's move it on over to the 3-point makes. Talk about some of these 3-point shooters, 3-point snipers. Some of these guys are sniping. Some of these guys are firing blanks. So let's see who's doing what. Appreciate everybody who's liked the live stream. We're trying to get 100. Let's get 100 before hashtag replay gang gets their hands on this this live stream. Let's try to reach 100 before we get it to them. Make their jobs easy tonight. Can we do that? All right, looking at some of these 3-point shooters here. Brad Beal at 1.5 3-point makes 90% hit rate. He's not up on the PrizePicks board because of his success from beyond the arc. I'm sure they don't want to put him up at 1.5 threes. Desmond Bane, we talked about him earlier. His points looking pretty good. He's another guy who's hitting at 90% from beyond the arc at 2.5 3-point makes. We talked about Fred VanVleet's points earlier. Liking him. At 3.5 3-point makes, he has covered this in 90% of his last 10 games. So these guys are sniping, y'all. 3 different guys, 90% hit rates for all of them. Here's a guy that we actually can talk about. D'Angelo Russell has been playing some fantastic basketball here lately. Now, I'd like to mention with Patrick Beverley out of the lineup, I think we should look at D'Angelo Russell's assists if, in fact, Patrick Beverley is out. I don't know that he is yet. He is a game time decision, last that I checked. But if he is out, then maybe we consider some D-Lo. Looking at his 2.5 3-point makes, 80% hit rate over the last 10 games, 60% in the last 5. So not as good over the last 5 versus the last 10, but still, last 2 games here, 4 3-point makes against OKC, 5 against Houston. Both of those teams pretty bad defensively, right? So let's go look at this matchup here against the New Orleans Pelicans. How many threes are they giving up to opposing point guards? Well, they're right there toward the top of the list, folks. They're giving up 3.4 3-point makes per game, which is the 6th most in the last 7 games. Now, in case Patrick Beverley plays, maybe D'Angelo Russell kind of slots in at the shooting guard spot. Just, playing devil's advocate here. New Orleans, in terms of threes given up to opposing shooting guards, 2.8. 2.8. So still giving up more than the 2.5 that he's projected at. So I would say overall this matchup against New Orleans looks like a pretty good one here for 3-point makes. Let's pull up a projection for Russell. A nice, healthy projection of 3.4 3-point makes. And at 2.5 3-point makes, a pretty big betting favorite, minus 145. Yes, I know. I know Desmond Bane isn't in the 3-point prop. Yeah, I said that. I know. But maybe you can, get him on another site. That's why I mentioned some of these guys. Some of you guys, you tune in for PrizePicks, but I know a lot of you play on other sites too, outside of PrizePicks. I wish everybody played on PrizePicks, but I know that's not the case. Some of you tune in, you got access to sports books. Some of you who tune in have access to some of these other sites that are out there. That's okay. You can play wherever you want. But I mentioned Desmond Bane because at 2.5 3-point makes, 90% hit rate. So if you could get him somewhere else, go take him somewhere else if you want to play Desmond Bane over 2.5 3-point props. He looks like a good play. But yeah, D'Angelo Russell betting favorite at 2.5 3-point makes, minus 145 betting favorite to go over. And he's projected to go over with 3.4 3-point makes, showing great form lately. 4 3-point makes, 5 3-point makes. So this could be a good option for you if you want to take an over on a 3-point prop. Let's see if there's anybody else that's standing out. Lonzo Ball at 2.5 3-point makes. His last couple of games here has been scoring a lot more. We just talked about DeMar DeRozan's assists. DeRozan's assists are up in the last 2 games. Lonzo Ball's scoring is up in the last 2 games. So maybe DeRozan's setting guys up more than looking to get his own shot. And it seems like Lonzo Ball's been benefiting from the increased assists from DeMar DeRozan. In the last couple of games, 6 threes and 3 threes made, respectively. So Lonzo Ball at 2.53, 70% hit rate over the last 10 games, 80% hit rate over the last 5 games. So let's look at this matchup here. He is typically kind of thought of as the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls, right? Going up against Detroit. Pistons giving up about 2.3 3-point makes to opposing point guards. Now, just for fun, I'll look at the shooting guard spot as well. Detroit giving up over 4 3-point makes over the last 7 games to opposing shooting guards. So no matter which way you think of Lonzo Ball, whether he's a point guard or shooting guard, the matchup looking pretty decent here. But shooting guards definitely benefiting more against the Detroit Pistons than point guards. So let's pull up a projection for Lonzo Ball. Once again, nice healthy projection. 3.3 3-point makes is his projection. At 2.5 on one book. Betting favorite right now at minus 120 to cover this prop. So maybe the trends continue. Maybe Lonzo Ball gets more shots up. DeMar DeRozan gets more assists tonight against Detroit. We'll have to wait and see. But that seems to be the case over the last couple of games. Isaac says, CJ, I'm just here to see your handsome face. Well, here it is, baby. Soak it all in. Take a picture. They say it lasts longer. Or you could just hit the replay button. Let's go ahead and look at some other ones. We talked about Fred VanVleet, Desmond Bane, Bradley Beal, all 90% hit rates over their last 10 games. D'Angelo Russell, 80% hit rate. He is on PrizePicks. Lonzo Ball, 70% hit rate. He is on PrizePicks. What do we think? We talked about Andrew Wiggins possibly being an underplay with Klay Thompson around. Will Andrew Wiggins continue the streak here of going under? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Klay Thompson could be that dude that cuts into Andrew Wiggins' production. He has gone under his 3-point prop in 2 straight games. So I'm expecting Wiggins to kind of regress a little bit. Now he's projected for 2.2 3-point makes going up against Memphis tonight, but 2 different books have him going under. Minus 125, under 1.5. So for me, I think I'm going to continue to spectate, watch from the sidelines, and see how things play out over the next few games for this Golden State Warriors team. But if you want to get in there early and you think that Andrew Wiggins is going to continue to not perform up to his props, then he could be an under option for you with Klay Thompson back in the mix. No other 3-point props really standing out to me. Not really seeing a whole lot here that are standing out over the last 10 games as far as hit rates or anything like that go. We've talked a little bit about free throw makes in the past. Again, I'll keep this kind of short and sweet. For free throw makes, I typically like to look for guys who are high usage players. So someone like an SGA, someone like a Bradley Beal, someone like a Fred VanVleet, especially with Gary Trent potentially out, with Scotty Barnes potentially out. I think the usage will go up for both Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. So I would say both of those guys are worth considering if those other Raptors guys are out of the lineup. Some other guys with high usage or stepping into more opportunities. I know Will Barton is out for Denver. I don't know if that is a big boost up for Jokic, but maybe you could look his way. But yeah, I think those are some options there. But yeah, I like looking for the high usage guys. I like looking for the guys that are the designated technical free throw shooters, the designated late game intentional foul free throw shooters. You know, the guys that are definitely going to be at the line in crunch time. Those are the types of free throw prop players. Guys that are going to be aggressive, that aren't just going to stand out there at the 3-point line. Guys that are going to actually like put their head down and take it to the basket and put themselves in positions to get fouled. Guys who sit out there and just camp the 3-point line, it's going to take a miracle for them to get fouled on a 3-point attempt. So you want to take the players that are going to be aggressive, that are going to have the basketball in their hands. So that's kind of how I approach free throw makes. I have not found a site or anything out there, and maybe you guys know of one that has projections for free throw makes, but I have not come across one. So if you do have one, leave it in the chat. Okay? But that's it. That's it for me. We're about an hour in. If you have some questions, leave those now. Leave those now. If you have some questions, I'll be happy to look through some of your favorite player props right now. All right, let's start things off with Dylan here because he's mentioning Ivica Zubac. Ivica Zubac rebounds. And from the looks of it, he's liking the over on Zubac at 7.5 boards. He's going up against Jokic tonight. Nikola Jokic versus Ivica Zubac. Some fun names there. Zubac at 7.5 boards does seem a little bit light at first glance. I got to give you that. Over the last 5 games, 80% hit rate. He's averaging nearly 11 rebounds per game. So Zubac for me, typically playing more minutes in the first half than the second half for whatever reason. Come fourth quarter, this guy's usually not out there a whole lot, if at all. So 7.5 boards for Zubac. Let's just look at this matchup real quick against Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Denver, wow. Okay. Denver giving up the first fewest rebounds per game over the last 7 games. 10.6 boards allowed. That's pretty tough. I mean, that's like as hard of a matchup as it's going to get for Zubac. But at 10.6 versus a 7.5 number, look, we don't need him to get all 10.6 rebounds. We just need him to get 8 out of those 10.6. Maybe he can. He had 11 rebounds versus Denver back on December 26th. So we know that he can get it done. We know that there's potential here for an over, right? Not looking too bad. Let's pull up a projection for Zubac real quick. Projected for 9.4 boards. But, folks, the betting public right now, minus 125, minus 135, they're taking the under on Zubac at 7.5 boards. Interesting. Now, here's where like something like StatMuse can kind of help you out. Because you could go Zubac rebounds versus Jokic game logs. And then you can kind of get an idea. I would probably just stick to looking at games where he was a member of the Clippers. How many times he's covered 7.5 boards versus Nikola Jokic? 1, 2, 3 times out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 out of 8 hit rate since joining the Clippers when facing Nikola Jokic. It's not looking like a great hit rate. So maybe folks are basing their decision to go under 7.5 boards on that. But, you know, the most recent sample size, the most recent game, I should say, 11 rebounds versus Nikola Jokic back on 12/26/21. So a couple weeks ago, he did get it done. So there you go. Just another way that you guys can use StatMuse. Let's see what else you guys are talking about here. Shout out to David Vega watching on the replay gang. Yeah, shout out to David. He's laughing. He's clapping. Shout out to you. Jokic under 1.5 threes. Keith Brookins Jr. KBJ. We had Kevin Porter Jr. last night. Now we got KBJ. Keith Brookins Jr. up in here. Thank you for the question. You're liking Joker under 1.5 3-point makes. Let's look at it. Wow. Okay. He's only covered this prop in the last 5 games one time. One time. Interesting. You know what I also notice here is that for some reason, well, never mind. I'll leave that alone. Anyway, 1.5 3-point makes just one time he has covered this. One time. Let's look at the matchup real quick. Center position, 3-point makes. Los Angeles Clippers. How many threes are they giving up to opposing centers in the last 10 games? Not a whole, or last 7 games. Not a whole lot. 0.82. 0.82. Less than 1 3-point make on average in the last 7 games. So, yeah, I mean, so far so good. It's looking pretty nice here for Jokic. For an under, that is, for an under. Got him projected for 1.4. That's obviously less than 1.5. 2 different books. Slight betting favorite to cover. Now, you could go ahead and do something like this, too, if you want to see how Jokic is doing. You could do Jokic 3-point makes versus Clippers game logs. And then you could kind of get an idea over his last, I don't know, however many games you want to go back. I wouldn't go too far back, maybe 2020 and present. I mean, he's covered this 3 times out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 out of 7. It's not looking great. So I'd probably lean toward the under on that. Just, gun to head. Not digging any deeper than what you saw me dig. I would probably say maybe the under's in play. Andrew, you're liking Kevon Looney over rebounds because Draymond Green is out. He got his record for 18 last game. Kevon Looney had 18 rebounds last game versus the Cavs. Is that what you're saying? I was not aware of that. Let's look and see if that is true. Ooh, shit. It's true. He had 18 rebounds versus the Cavaliers last game. That's Jared Allen. That's Evan Mobley. That's Kevin Love. That's Lauri Markkanen. Pulled in 18 boards. Wow. That is impressive. Without Draymond Green, I think for both of these games, right? He covered 9 and then 18. All right. I'm seeing what you're seeing now. I'm on board a little bit with this. Where's Memphis at? Ooh, tough matchup. I think Steven Adams was a game time decision. Now, if he's in, I think things get very difficult for Kevon Looney to cover 7.5 boards. Definitely more difficult. Memphis giving up the 5th fewest rebounds per game to the center spot over the last 7 games. Let's go ahead and go to the rebound section here. Pull up Looney. Got him projected for 8 boards. 8 boards. Not seeing any action on any of the books right now. He's even across 3 different sports books. So, I don't know. I got to wait and see. I want to see if Steven Adams is in or out. I don't know that we've got an official ruling or word on that yet. See what else you guys are talking about. You can see free throw makes on Number Fire's projections. I've looked before, and I don't think I've ever seen that. Let's look. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot. You're saying that there are free throw make projections on Number Fire. Am I going daily basketball projections? Okay, so we got minutes, points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers. Where are you seeing free throw makes? Do I have to like maybe click on a player? Those are the stats. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, here? Is this what you're looking at? Free throw makes and attempts. So like Jokic tonight projected for about 5 attempts and 4.1 free throw makes. Ah, man, they got that hidden. They should have that out on the main page. But yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Well, there you go, folks. If you're looking for free throw make projections, look no further. Number Fire. So again, the way that I got to that, I just pulled up their projections on Number Fire, clicked on the player's name, in this case Jokic, went down to game log, and then you see this upcoming projections section. And then you've got free throw makes -A attempts. And this will give you a projection for various things. You even have 3-point makes and attempts in here. So that question of Nikola Jokic under 1.5 3-point makes, they got him projected for 1.3 3-point makes. Very cool. Very helpful. Learning something new every single day here, folks. So there you go. Appreciate that, King Chris. Always on point, man. Always on point. Love it. Kuzma over on rebounds. Caleb, let's take a look. Kyle Kuzma over on rebounds. We talked about him being one of the high hit rate rebounders. This guy's showing tremendous rebounding upside in his last 5 games. I mean, 22 boards against the Orlando Magic. This guy's cleaning the glass. Forget being a basketball player. Just be a glass cleaner, my friend. Change professions. 22, 11. Bit of a down game against Houston with 9, 14, and 12. So this is another question. Does Montrezl Harrell impact Kyle Kuzma at all? Did Harrell play against Orlando? I'm not sure, but if he did, he didn't. He definitely didn't get in Kuzma's way that game. 22 rebounds against the Magic. So I'm definitely seeing what you're seeing here in terms of liking Kyle Kuzma's rebounds. Got him projected for 7.4. That seems very underweight. Very light for a guy who's pulled in 12, 14, 9, 11, and 22 in his last 5 games, who's averaging 13.6 rebounds. 7.4 boards? Really? Come on. Come on. That seems a little bit underweight, right? Do we agree? Let's look at this matchup. OKC, they're giving up 13.1 rebounds per game to opposing power forwards in the last 7 games. The first most. High hit rates for this guy, right? Tremendous rebounding upside, right? Let's see. Has he faced the Thunder at all this year? Let's just look. Kyle Kuzma, rebounds versus Thunder game logs. He has faced them once already this season. It was on November 26th. He pulled in 10 boards in 33 minutes of court time. So he covered. Yeah, why would we want to go under here? And why on earth is he projected for just 7.4 rebounds? That is weird. I don't know. I think the over makes some sense, right? From what we're seeing together here. Jonas Valanciunas. Alec is asking about Jonas Valanciunas over 3-point makes. Joe Val over 3-point makes. Not seeing him up on the board, so this is not a PrizePicks play. He's not up on the PrizePicks board. I don't have a whole lot to reference on this, so I'll just keep it short and sweet for Joe Val. Got him projected for 0.8. Which is more than 0.5, closer to 1 3-point make than 0 3-point makes, right? And he's a betting favorite, -170 betting favorite to go over. Let's see how many threes the T-Wolves are giving up to opposing centers. Oh, well, there you go. They're giving up over 3 3-point makes per game to opposing centers over the last 7 games. That is the first most. This guy just needs to make 1. Yeah. Yep. Looks like a good play to me, Alec. You're not going to get it on PrizePicks from the looks of things, but if you can get it somewhere else, Take it. Joaquin Portillo. Like I said that. Aaron Gordon, 4.5 rebounds. Let's look at AG. We talked about his points. He's been scoring the basketball really well, but you're looking to take some rebounds on Aaron Gordon. He's at 4.5 boards down here, going up against the Clippers. Last 5 games, not bad. 3 out of 5, 80 or 60% hit rate, 5.2 rebounds per game in that span. Going up against the Clippers tonight. The Clippers. Let's pull up a projection for Aaron Gordon. We'll make it quick for you. 5.1 projected boards. That's an over, obviously. 3 different books. Seeing odds as high as minus 145 for Aaron Gordon to, once again, cover his rebound prop. No Will Barton, and a lot of the other Nuggets guys are out of there. Bol's been traded away to the Pistons. Not that he was going to be much of an impactful player in getting in Aaron Gordon's way, but I'm just saying, Gordon will have all the minutes and opportunities to rebound tonight that he can handle. So yeah, maybe Joaquin, maybe we do that. Kuzma over on free throws. We're going back to the Kuzma well here. Going back to the well with Kyle Kuzma. You like his free throw makes? He's going up against OKC. Well, 5 straight games now. Kyle Kuzma has went over 2.5 3-point makes, or free throw makes. 3, 4, 6, 7, and 4. So, I think he could be a guy that could potentially do some things. I'm going to pull Kuzma up here on Fantasy Labs. And the reason I'm doing that is because you could get a usage projection, which is 20. Not terrible, not great. I think most of the usage would be to a guy like Bradley Beal. His projected usage about 10 points higher at 30.8. But if Kuzma's going to continue to play aggressive like he has been, then I think he could get it done. Let's actually just look at this real quick. I already have it up. Last time he played OKC, he had 0 free throw makes on 0 free throw attempts on November 26th. Not that I'm saying that's going to happen again, but it's just good to kind of see it as a reference point. So he did not have any free throw attempts or makes last time he faced OKC. But looking at the game logs here recently, it's looking great. I don't mind that at all. George is talking about Hamidou Diallo over on rebounds. Let's take a look at that one real quick. Detroit Pistons forward on a back-to-back. He played Utah last night. Diallo against Utah last night did have 8 boards. He had 6 against Orlando, 6 against Memphis, and 9 against Milwaukee. 4 out of 5, 80% hit rate, 6.4 rebounds per game. Now he's going up against Chicago. This game does have a very high likelihood of this game blowing out. Looking at the matchup, last 7 games, Chicago giving up about 10.3 rebounds per game. We go to the small forward position just for another point of reference. 7.2 rebounds per game. So I would say that there is some rebound upside, some rebound potential for Hamidou. 5.5 rebounds. Betting favorite at minus 135 to go over. And he's projected for 6.6 boards. So there you go. Diallo looking like a decent little option there. Is Kyle Anderson expected to play today, Christian, for Memphis? I know he missed the last game, I want to say. Before I click any overs on Kyle Anderson's rebounds, I'd kind of like to see if him and or Steven Adams are officially in. Is Kyle Anderson up on the board? I don't even see him up on the board. Oh, there he is. 5.5 rebounds. Without Steven Adams, I'd say for sure. I think he's definitely in play. With Steven Adams, I don't know. I don't know about it. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection real quick. I won't spend too much time researching this because we're waiting on the Steven Adams official news, but got him projected for 6.3 and then over 5.5 boards on a couple of different sites. So, maybe. David Reeves, can we talk about Desmond Bane's fantasy points and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s fantasy points? We could talk about it. We haven't talked about any fantasy points just yet. So let's go ahead and talk about these two for you. Jaren Jackson Jr. was one you mentioned. 33 fantasy points he's gone over in his last two games. Not just gone over, but crushed. 63 against the Clippers, 55 against the Lakers. Does he have something against Los Angeles teams? Why is he balling out of control like this? I don't know. But I'll pull up a projection for Jaren Jackson Jr. I got him projected for 29.7, which is obviously less than 33. So they do not like Jaren Jackson to go over. Now, maybe that has something to do with Steven Adams. Like we said, we're kind of waiting and seeing, right? Looking at Golden State, though, in terms of fantasy points allowed to opposing power forwards over the last 7 games, many of those games obviously were with Draymond Green. 4th fewest fantasy points allowed at 39. So for me, it's more about the ranking than the number in this case. They are a difficult matchup for power forwards. So just be careful. Be careful. Now, if Adams is out, I'd expect Jaren Jackson Jr. to play a little more center. Looking for Golden State, last 7 games against opposing centers, kind of a middle-of-the-road matchup. You can kind of see where they rank 55 fantasy points per game allowed to opposing centers. So, again, if Adams is out, that means more Jaren Jackson Jr. at center and an easier matchup from the looks of things. But right now, I have him projected for 29.7 fantasy points, which puts him under. And then you wanted to know about his teammate, Desmond Bane, at 31.5. There's his 5-game logs. I got him projected for 30 fantasy points right now, which again is an under going up against Golden State. He'll have his hands full with the likes of Klay Thompson probably. Maybe they put Andrew Wiggins on him. Maybe they put Andrew Wiggins on him. Maybe they put Steph Curry on him. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to match up defensively. But looking at the shooting guard position, Golden State giving up the 2nd fewest fantasy points per game in the last 7 games to opposing shooting guards at 34.6. Tough matchup, okay? Not the easiest matchup here for Desmond Bane. Let's go through a few more of these real quick. Domo Too Cold 773, Pascal 25 points, Karl Anthony Towns 25 points. Are you saying that's how much these guys are going to score? That both of them are going to score 25 points? They're both at 23.5. Karl Anthony Towns, 60% hit rate in his last 5 at 23.5. Siakam, 40% hit rate. But again, if Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr. are not in for Toronto, then guys like Van Vliet, Anunoby, Pascal Siakam will all step up. Anunoby might be interesting. He's coming off of a bad game, 12 points against New Orleans. With a couple of those guys out of the lineup, maybe he steps into a bigger opportunity, potentially. We looked at the matchups earlier, and Fred Van Vliet is facing Phoenix, and we talked about it. Phoenix has given up the most points per game to point guards in the last 7. So, yeah, maybe those guys are in play. Kuzma or Ayton first half points. Interesting. I think DeAndre Ayton had a little bit of a flop, would we call it, in his last game. He's at 7.5 first half points against Toronto tonight, though. Just looking at this matchup, Toronto points allowed to centers. I thought it'd be better. They're kind of like middle of the road, about 23 points per game given up to opposing centers. But Ayton could definitely just like jump hook these dudes to death. They're undersized. Toronto's very undersized. So yeah, I mean, I could kind of see what you're saying there. Andrew saying he took the under on Diallo. Are you talking about his fantasy points, actual points, or something else? I don't know. Oh, appreciate that. ZXR Skills leaving a super chat this morning. Great stream as always. Keep up the great work. Love that, man. Appreciate the support. For real, for real. Don't expect it, but it's always much appreciated. with those super chats. Appreciate it. Trying to get through some of these other comments here. OG Anunoby rebounds if Barnes is out. Yeah. I think, a lot of these Raptors will definitely see a boost with Barnes and or Trent out if they are truly out. But Anunoby rebounds are kind of interesting. 4.5. As of right now, got him projected for 5.5 boards. 5.5 boards. So yeah, I think definitely more rebound opportunities will open up here for some of these Raptors. What's up, Captain Shango? Thanks for joining us, man. Mike, 4KT. Check out Killian Hayes points. That could be a good underplay. Do we have Killian Hayes up on the board? On PrizePicks? That's the question. Killian Hayes. Yep, there he is. 6.5 points. You're thinking about maybe going under on some Killian Hayes, huh? Okay, I could see it. He comes dangerously close in a lot of these games to going over 6.5. 5, 5, 5, 5. He's got one game where he did go over, which is against Charlotte. You'd kind of expect a bump in his productivity against the Charlotte Hornets, who are not a very good defensive team. They're a very friendly matchup for most players. I got Hayes projected for 6.6 points. And at 6.5, betting favorite -120 to go over 6.5. So they said, screw the last 5 games, screw the hit rates on Killian Hayes. He's going over tonight. The betting public, the projections, whatever it's worth, they think he's going to go over against Chicago tonight. I don't know about that though. Clay, you're asking about DeAndre Ayton wanting to go under on his points. Whew. Somebody's wanting to go over on Ayton's first half points. You're wanting to go under on his full game points. We talked about the matchup. Toronto not giving up a ton of points to opposing centers. This game would have to stay close and competitive. I hope it does. Got to wait and see on some of this Toronto Raptor news, but Ayton's projected for 15.7 points. And he is a betting favorite on every site right now. The public taking the over. So I don't know. David, you got put in timeout? Who put you in timeout, David? What happened? I don't know what you're talking about. Ja Morant has to be over 25.5 points today, right? Or is he getting under? Ja going up against Golden State. Listen, Golden State's a tough defensive team. It's a tough defensive team. Ja coming off of 2 games in a row now where he's had, we'll say, bad games. 22 and 16, respectively. Against 2 pretty easy teams, too. Detroit and LA. You're thinking this is the game where maybe he gets back on track going up against Golden State. Let's just take a quick peek. Point guards, points allowed by Golden State. Got to go down toward the bottom here. They're giving up about 19.5 per game in the last 7, which is a whole lot less than 25-5, right? So Ja's going to have to be on his A game here against a tough Golden State team. Can he do it? Of course he can. He's a pretty talented young kid, but got him projected for 23.6 points. He is a betting favorite on some sites to go under and on others to cover. So I don't know. For me, I would probably say the under, gun to head, just because I think the matchup's going to be tough. He is due for a get right spot. I just don't know if this is the spot for him, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. Chris Paul under on points. I mean, for sure. You know, Chris Paul hasn't been scoring the ball very well. Hasn't been scoring the ball great. You've got Jay Crowder. You got Mikal Bridges back in the lineup. Obviously, Ayton's back. Devin Booker. Can't forget about Book. So Chris Paul averaging just 11 points per game. 11 points per game. Let's look up a projection for Chris Paul. Wow, they got him going for 17 tonight. 17 tonight. Now, I saw something similar happen here last night with Cade Cunningham. Let me explain. Cade Cunningham was at like 16 points on PrizePicks, but he was out on every sports book out there at 17.5. Now, he was a betting favorite to go under 17.5, but I just bring that up to say there was a 1.5 point difference between PrizePicks and your favorite sports book. And I did not click the over on Cade Cunningham at 16 points, but I wish I would have, because he ended up covering 16 and 17.5 points. So maybe we're seeing something similar here with Chris Paul. Maybe this 13, it's a little too low. Maybe it's too priced down, we'll say. Just something to think about. Victoria, you're talking about some CP3 over assists. While we're on Chris Paul, let's look at the assist real quick. He's at 10. Had 7 against Miami, but in his last 5 games has gone for 10 or more in 60% of those games. Has actually gone over 10 in just 2 games, though. 40% there. So we'll just quickly flip this over. Got him projected for 9.8 dimes. At 9.5 on 2 different books, minus 145, minus 150 betting favorite to go over. But at 10.5, he's a betting favorite to go under, which is why PrizePicks has him up at 10 today. So a little more insight there for you. I don't know how are you being put in timeout, David? I'm not sure. Like, does YouTube ban you for saying some off the wall stuff? I don't know how you're getting put in timeout or whatever. Not sure what's happening there, buddy. Yeah, George, again, like what you're talking about, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s rebounds, we're going to just have to see if Steven Adams is in or out. So you were going under, Andrew. You said you went under on Diallo's points, and it ended up working out. Okay. Vooch rebounds versus Detroit over. He averages 17 against them this year. Yeah. I talked about Vooch a little bit, like I said, with Lonzo Ball in. His rebound averages this year have really plummeted to below 11 rebounds with Lonzo Ball in. Craig says Siakam went down to 22.5, so the public already made Siakam move down by a whole point. Interesting. Sean, you're asking about Marcus Morris and his points. Where's Marcus Morris at today? Marcus Morris definitely stepped into a much larger role with all of the injuries, all the key guys sidelined for the Clippers. He's facing off against Denver today, coming off of a bad game. This could be a spot where we look to get right, where Marcus Morris looks to get right. See, the last time he had a bad game was against Minnesota with 12 points. He comes back against Phoenix, a tough team, has 26. So maybe we see something similar tonight where he gets back to his 20-plus point scoring ways. I'll quickly pull up a projection on Marcus Morris. Let's flip it on over to the points. Ooh, I got him projected for 14.9. So even at 15 points, that's not enough to cover. So definitely want to dig in a little bit deeper here. Don't let this be the end of your research. Let this be the beginning of your research, all right? And we'll do more research together in Discord later today. Isaac says Toronto with no fans at home will continue to have high-scoring games. That's kind of interesting. Interesting. David giving everyone knowledge, and I don't know if the mods like that. Okay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You got your own little game of grab ass going on here, Andrew and David, it sounds like. Not you, Andrew Vihande. I'm talking about Andrew Ford and David, the mysterious David, the man with no last name. Cash is talking about DeMar DeRozan over 11.5 first half points against the Pistons, who are giving up the number 1 points per game to opposing small forwards. Well, we could take a look at that one. DeRozan first half points game logs. Let's just go with that. His last couple of games. Now, remember, Lonzo Ball back in the mix, and it seems like he's been impacting DeMar DeRozan here. Had 9 against Washington, 10 against Dallas. I believe Lonzo was in for both of those games. But you're liking the first half points against Detroit. Don't see a previous game log from this season against Detroit, but maybe. I mean, that could be an option. I'm just a little worried, like I said, about Lonzo Ball. Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt over rebounds. Let's go ahead and take a look at Jared Vanderbilt. Somebody mentioned him. 9.5 boards. He definitely gets on the glass at times. Over the last 5 games, 12, 13, 16, and 19 rebounds. Huge rebound upside for Jared Vanderbilt over the last 5 games. He's the power forward for the Minnesota T-Wolves. Let's look at this matchup against New Orleans. New Orleans, man, they're kind of down the list here, giving up about 10.2 per game to opposing power forwards, which, as you can see, kind of puts them down on the bottom of the list here, right? So let's just pull up a projection real quick on Vandy. Got him projected for 11.5 boards, betting favorite at -125 to go over 9.5. Twerkle wants to look at Zach LaVine's assists. Let's do it. How's his assists been looking the last couple games with Lonzo back? 2 and 3. Go back even further. 0, 3, and 4. He's not dropping a whole lot of dimes, is he? So you're looking at this as a potential option for an underplay, I'm guessing, huh? Got him projected for 4.5, but he's on 2 different books at 3.5 and 4.5. Under on the 4.5, over on the 3.5. Pretty strong odds. So they expect him to be right here, right around 4 assists. So it might end up being a push. Vihande? Come on, man. I don't have any Spanish in me, but I know how to say Vihande. A lot of haters up in here. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let David and the other Andrew get on about their day. Seems like they got a lot of time on their hands, and maybe they want to go do some independent research and stuff. But yeah, we're looking at over an hour and a half here. So yeah, we'll let these kids go and have some fun on their own. It looks like they're bored and they're ready to go, take a nap or something. Who knows? Anyways, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for all the support. We'll catch you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. for another segment in this NBA player prop research show. Catch you the next time. Peace.